Chapter 1. Stop letting your feelings run your life. The alarm goes off at 5 a.m. You feel the warmth of the blankets, the soft weight of the pillow, and the faint ache in your joints. In that moment, your mind whispers a suggestion. Just 10 more minutes. You're tired. You didn't sleep well. You'll be more productive if you're rested. In that split second, you have a choice to make. Most people, the vast majority of the world, listen to that whisper. They believe that because they feel tired, the most logical action is to sleep. They treat their feelings as if they are divine commands handed down from a higher power. But here is the hard truth that no one wants to tell you. Emotions are signals, not commands. We have been conditioned to believe that our inner truth is found in how we feel. We are told to honor our feelings and listen to our bodies. While there is a time for rest and self-reflection, modern society has taken this advice and turned it into a prison of emotional weakness. We have become a culture of people who only move when they feel motivated, who only work when they feel inspired, and who only stay faithful when they feel in love. What happens when the motivation dies? What happens when the inspiration vanishes? What happens when the feeling of love is replaced by the reality of a difficult argument? If your life is built on the foundation of your feelings, your life is built on shifting sand. Feelings lie. Discipline decides. The trap of feeling ready. Look around at the people who are stuck. The man who has wanted to start a business for 5 years but is waiting for the right time. The woman who wants to lose 50 pounds but is waiting until she feels the spark to go to the gym. They are all waiting for a feeling that may never come. They are waiting to feel ready. Success does not care how you feel. The pavement doesn't care if you feel like running on it. It stays hard regardless. The market doesn't care if you feel anxious about launching your product. It only cares if the product solves a problem. Your bank account doesn't care if you feel overwhelmed. It only reflects your daily habits. When you wait to feel ready, you are giving away your power. You are saying to the universe, I am a slave to my neurochemistry. If my brain doesn't release enough dopamine today, I will not pursue my dreams. That is the definition of emotional weakness. It is the choice to let a fleeting chemical reaction in your brain dictate the trajectory of your entire life. Feelings lie. Discipline decides. The biology of the lie. Your brain is not designed to make you successful, happy, or wealthy. Your brain is designed to keep you alive and safe. Evolutionarily speaking, safe means doing exactly what you did yesterday because it didn't kill you. Whenever you try to grow, whenever you try to wake up early, speak in public, or invest your savings, your brain perceives this as a threat. It triggers feelings of fear, hesitation, and laziness to pull you back into the safety of your comfort zone. Your feelings are literally designed to keep you small. They are the survival mechanism of a caveman living in a world of skyscrapers. When you feel unmotivated to do the work, that is simply your brain trying to save energy. When you feel scared to take a risk, that is your brain trying to avoid a perceived predator. If you listen to those feelings, you are living like a primitive animal. To be a person of strength, you must transcend your biology. You must recognize the feeling, acknowledge its presence, and then do the work anyway. You don't need to fix your feelings before you act. You don't need to wait for the fear to go away before you start. You act in spite of the fear. You act despite the lethargy. Feelings lie. Discipline decides. The path of the emotional ruler. The strongest people you know are not people who don't have bad feelings. They are not people who are magically motivated 24/7. They are simply people who have learned to ignore the whispers of their own weakness. Think of an elite athlete. Do you think they feel like training in the rain at 4 a.m. after a week of grueling workouts? No. Their body is screaming for them to stop. Their mind is offering 1,000 excuses. But they have built a wall between their feelings and their actions. That wall is called discipline. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It is the ultimate form of self-respect. When you keep the promises you made to yourself, regardless of your mood, you are telling your subconscious mind, I am the boss here. My feelings do not run this ship. Every time you choose discipline over a feeling, you get stronger. Every time you choose a feeling over discipline, you get weaker. If you feel like staying in bed, and you get up anyway, you win. If you feel like eating junk food, and you eat a healthy meal instead, you win. If you feel like scrolling on your phone, and you pick up a book instead, you win. These are small victories, but they are the bricks that build the fortress of a strong life. Practice the action first rule. Starting today, I want you to adopt the action first rule. When you have a task to do not check in with your emotions. Do not ask yourself, how do I feel about doing this? That question is a trap. The moment you ask it, you give your weakness a seat at the table. Instead, look at your schedule, look at your goals, and move. If the feeling of hesitation arises, label it. Say to yourself, this is a feeling of hesitation. It is a signal that I am doing something difficult. It is not a command to stop. And then, repeat the mantra. Feelings lie. Discipline decides. You are not your feelings. You are the observer of your feelings. You are the commander of your actions. Stop letting your moods determine your destiny. The version of you that is successful, strong, and fulfilled is waiting on the other side of the work you don't feel like doing. Choose to be the master of your mind, not the servant of your whims. Feelings lie. Discipline decides. Chapter 2. Comfort is the enemy of growth. We live in the age of the optimization of ease. Every modern invention, from the smartphone in your pocket to the delivery app that brings food to your door without you ever having to stand up, is designed to remove friction from your life. We are told that the goal of a successful life is to reach a point where everything is convenient. We work hard so that one day we can retire and do nothing. We seek the path of least resistance in our jobs, our relationships, and our health. But here is the irony. The more comfortable your life becomes, the smaller your world becomes. The more you avoid the cold, the heat, the sweat, and the struggle, the more fragile you become. In nature, anything that does not face resistance dies. A tree that grows in a windless environment will fall over the moment a light breeze hits it because it never had to develop stress wood, the deep, dense fibers that grow only when the tree is forced to lean against the wind. Human beings are no different. When you optimize for comfort, you are optimizing for decay. If it's comfortable, it's killing your progress. The sedative of safety. Comfort is a sedative. It numbs the ambition. It quietens the voice in your head that tells you that you were meant for more. Think about your daily routine. How much of it is designed to keep you from feeling even a moment of physical or mental unease? You stay in a job you hate because the paycheck is comfortable. You stay in a mediocre relationship because being alone is uncomfortable. You skip the workout because the couch is comfortable. Every time you choose the easy path, you are making a withdrawal from your bank account of potential. You are trading your future greatness for a temporary feeling of safety. The most successful people in history, the innovators, the warriors, the icons, did not find success in a state of relaxation. They found it in the furnace. They sought out the things that made their skin crawl and their hearts race. They understood a fundamental law of the universe. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. If you are not feeling the sting of challenge, you are standing still. And in a world that is constantly moving, standing still is the same as moving backward. If it's comfortable, it's killing your progress. The science of struggle. There is a biological term called hormesis. It is the process by which a living organism gains strength and resilience by being exposed to low-dose stressors. When you lift weights, you are literally tearing your muscle fibers. It is uncomfortable. It hurts. But in response to that insult to the tissue, your body rebuilds the muscle thicker and stronger than before. If you only ever lifted weights that felt comfortable, your muscles would never grow. They would atrophy. The same is true for your mind. If you never have hard conversations, your social intelligence atrophies. If you never tackle complex problems that make your brain hurt, your cognitive abilities atrophy. If you never face your fears, your courage atrophies. Weakness is the natural state of a pampered body and a sheltered mind. Strength is a foreign invader that you must invite in through the door of discomfort. Most people see a difficult task and think, this is hard, something must be wrong. The strong person sees a difficult task and thinks, this is hard, this is where the growth is. If it's comfortable, it's killing your progress. The trap of the arrival. One of the biggest lies we are told is that there is a destination called success where we will finally be able to stop struggling. We think, once I make $1 million, I'll be comfortable. Or once I get that promotion, I can relax. This is a dangerous delusion. The moment you stop struggling is the moment you start dying. Look at the lottery curse. Why do so many people who win millions of dollars end up broke, depressed, or addicted within 5 years? Because they achieved ultimate comfort without the character-building struggle required to maintain it. They have the easy life but the weak mind. Strength is not a trophy you put on a shelf. It is a fire you must feed with the fuel of daily effort. The moment you feel like you've made it and you start to coast, you are in the danger zone. Coasting only happens in one direction: downhill. If you are not actively climbing, you are sliding. Embracing the suck. In the military, there is a phrase, embrace the suck. It means to acknowledge that a situation is miserable, cold, exhausting, and painful, and then to lean into it with a smile. It is the realization that the suck is exactly what separates the elite from the average. If the goal was easy, everyone would do it. The reason the rewards for high-level success are so great is that the price of entry is a level of discomfort that most people are unwilling to pay. When you feel that internal resistance, that feeling of "I don't want to do this," you should recognize it as a green light. That resistance is the compass pointing toward your growth. Does the thought of a cold shower make you shiver? Get in. Does the thought of making 10 sales calls make you anxious? Pick up the phone. Does the thought of writing that first chapter make you feel inadequate? Start typing. You must train yourself to move toward the pain, not away from it. You must fall in love with the process of being challenged. If it's comfortable, it's killing your progress. The death of potential. Imagine yourself at the end of your life. You are looking back at the person you could have become. That version of you is strong, skilled, respected, and fulfilled. Then you look at the person you actually became, someone who played it safe, stayed in the middle of the pack, and avoided every sharp edge. The gap between those two people is the most painful thing a human being can experience. And that gap was created by one thing: your obsession with comfort. Every time you chose the easy way, the could-have-been version of you died a little bit. If you want to live a life that matters, you have to stop looking for the exit ramp. You have to stop asking for the burden to be lighter and start asking for your back to be stronger. You have to realize that the discomfort you are so afraid of is actually the weight of your own potential trying to manifest. Practice. Seek the friction. Your homework for this chapter is simple but brutal. Seek out one thing today that makes you uncomfortable and do it specifically because it makes you uncomfortable. Don't do it for the result. Do it to prove to your brain that you are no longer a slave to ease. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Turn the water to freezing for the last 2 minutes of your shower. Sit in silence for 20 minutes without your phone. Do the hardest task on your to-do list first. As you do these things, notice the voice in your head telling you to stop. Notice how it tries to bargain with you. Listen to it, and then do the work anyway. The comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. If you want to be strong, you must leave the harbor and head into the storm. If it's comfortable, it's killing your progress. Chapter 3. You were trained to be weak. No one is born a victim. No infant enters this world programmed to complain, to blame others for their failures, or to seek the path of least resistance. If you look at a child learning to walk, you see the purest form of human resilience. They fall 100 times, and 100 times they get back up. They don't sit on the floor and complain about the carpet being too slippery. They don't blame their parents for having tall jeans that make balancing difficult. They don't wait for a motivational speech to try again. They simply work until they succeed. So, what happened to you? Between that resilient toddler and the person you are today, something changed. You were socialized. You were educated. You were civilized. In short, you were programmed. You were taught that being offended is a position of power. You were taught that your feelings are more important than your facts. You were taught that if you are unhappy, it is likely someone else's fault. You weren't born weak. You were trained to be weak. But the good news is that training can be undone. Weakness is taught. Strength is chosen. The cult of fragility. We live in a culture that has pathologized discomfort. In the past, grit and stoicism were the gold standards of character. Today, those traits are often labeled as toxic or suppressed. Instead, we are encouraged to vent, to express our truths, and to demand that the world change to accommodate our sensitivities. Modern society has built a cult of fragility. We see it in schools where participation trophies are handed out so no one has to feel the sting of losing. We see it in workplaces where safe spaces are prioritized over performance. We see it in social media algorithms that reward the loudest, most emotional outrage. When you shield a person from every possible hardship, you aren't helping them. You are lobotomizing their potential. You are creating an emotional hemophiliac, someone who will bleed out at the slightest scratch from the real world. Society rewards complaining because a complaining population is a manageable population. People who are busy blaming the system, their upbringing, or the economy are people who are not taking action to change their own lives. Weak people are excellent consumers. They buy things to fill the void of their own inadequacy. They follow leaders who promise to take care of them. They stay in line. Weakness is taught. Strength is chosen. The participation trophy mentality. Think back to the first time you were told that trying your best was just as good as winning. It was a lie. In the real world, trying your best doesn't pay the mortgage. Results pay the mortgage. The participation trophy mentality taught an entire generation that effort deserves an equal reward to excellence. It removed the necessary pain of failure. Failure is supposed to hurt. That hurt is the biological signal that you need to get better, work harder, or change your strategy. When society removes the sting of failure, it removes the incentive to grow. By the time you reached adulthood, you were likely conditioned to expect a reward just for showing up. When the world didn't give it to you, when the boss didn't praise you for doing your basic job, or the partner didn't tolerate your laziness, you felt wronged. You felt like a victim. This is the programming at work. It has taught you to look outward for validation rather than inward for competence. It has taught you that you are entitled to a result you didn't earn. Weakness is taught. Strength is chosen. The outrage economy. Look at your phone. Every day, you are bombarded with outrage. The media, both mainstream and social, thrives on keeping you in a state of emotional hyperreactivity. They want you angry. They want you offended. They want you scared. Why? Because an emotionally reactive person is easy to control. When you are reacting, you are not thinking. When you are outraged, you are operating from the amygdala, the primitive part of your brain, rather than the prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic and discipline. We have been trained to believe that having an emotional reaction is the same as taking a stand. It isn't. Typing an angry comment on a post is not strength. Getting your feelings hurt by a stranger's opinion is not a virtue. It is a sign that you have zero control over your internal state. If someone can make you angry with just a few words, they own you. You are their puppet. Society has trained you to be a puppet, handing the strings to anyone with a keyboard or a camera. Strength is the act of cutting those strings. Weakness is taught. Strength is chosen. The therapy of personal responsibility. One of the most dangerous trends in modern culture is the weaponization of trauma and labels. We are encouraged to find a diagnosis for every character flaw. Instead of saying, "I am lazy," people say, "I struggle with executive dysfunction." Instead of saying, "I am a coward," they say, "I have social anxiety." While clinical conditions are real, the vast majority of people use these labels as a get-out-of-jail-free card for their lack of discipline. They treat their past traumas like a life sentence rather than a chapter of their story. Strength does not mean you haven't been hurt. Strength does not mean you didn't have a hard childhood or that you haven't faced genuine injustice. Strength means that you refuse to let those things be the excuse for your current failure. The world will try to convince you that you are broken and that you need a million external things to fix you. They want you to stay in the healing phase forever, because as long as you are healing, you aren't doing. The most powerful therapy in the world is personal responsibility. It is the moment you look in the mirror and say, "It may not be my fault that I am in this hole, but it is 100% my responsibility to climb out of it." Weakness is taught. Strength is chosen. Breaking the script. To become strong, you must first acknowledge that you have been lied to. You must recognize that the voice in your head, the one that complains about the weather, the one that feels entitled to a break, the one that wants to be understood rather than respected, is not your voice. It is the voice of your training. It is the voice of the school system that wanted you to sit still. It is the voice of the marketing agencies that want you to feel inadequate so you'll buy their products. It is the voice of a culture that fears strong, independent individuals. Every time you choose to take responsibility instead of complaining, you are breaking that script. Every time you choose to endure pain instead of seeking a safe space, you are deprogramming yourself. Every time you choose to be disciplined when you feel triggered, you are reclaiming your humanity. The world doesn't need more sensitive people. It doesn't need more outraged people. The world is starving for people who can keep their heads when everyone else is losing theirs. It is starving for people who are anti-fragile, people who actually get better the more the world tries to break them. Practice radical ownership. Today, your task is to identify one area of your life where you have been playing the victim. Where are you blaming your genetics, your boss, your ex, or the government for your lack of progress? Once you identify it, I want you to say out loud, "I am the reason I am here, and I am the only one who can get me out." Stop looking for a reason why you can't, and start looking for the how you will. You have been conditioned for mediocrity. You have been groomed for emotional weakness. That was their choice for you. Now, it's time to make your own. The cage door is actually open. It has been open this whole time. All you have to do is stop identifying with the bars. Weakness is taught. Strength is chosen. Chapter 4. Excuses are self-betrayal. The most dangerous person in your life is not the boss who passed you over for a promotion. It is not the parent who didn't believe in you. It is not the system that seems rigged against you. The most dangerous person in your life is the one you see in the mirror every morning, because that is the only person who can look you in the eye and lie to you until you believe it. We call these lies excuses. An excuse is a diplomatic way of saying, "I'm choosing my comfort over my potential." It is a psychological anesthesia we inject into our consciousness to numb the pain of our own mediocrity. When you make an excuse, you are attempting to bridge the gap between the person you say you want to be and the person you are actually being. But make no mistake, every time you offer an excuse, you are committing an act of self-betrayal. You are telling your dreams to sit down and shut up because your ego is too fragile to handle the truth. Excuses feel good. Results feel better. The anatomy of an excuse. Why do we make excuses? Because the truth is heavy. The truth is that if you are out of shape, it is because you chose the wrong food and avoided the hard work. The truth is that if your bank account is empty, it is because you lacked the discipline to save or the courage to increase your value. The truth is that if your relationships are failing, it is because you are difficult to live with or chose the wrong partner. That truth hurts. It burns. So, to stop the burn, we reach for an excuse. I don't have enough time. The economy is bad right now. I have bad genetics. I would have succeeded, but my manager is out to get me. The moment you utter those words, the pressure vanishes. You are no longer responsible. You are a victim of circumstances. You can go back to your couch, pick up your phone, and feel okay about your failure because it wasn't your fault. But okay is the death of greatness. While you are busy feeling okay about your excuses, someone else, with less time, less money, and worse genetics, is outworking you because they refuse to give themselves an out. Excuses feel good. Results feel better. The no-time delusion. The most common excuse in the history of human failure is "I don't have time." This is a mathematical lie. Every human being on this planet, from the billionaire CEO to the person sleeping on the street, gets the exact same 168 hours a week. Time is the only truly level playing field. When you say, "I don't have time," what you are really saying is, "This is not a priority." You have time to scroll through social media for 2 hours a day. You have time to watch 3 seasons of a Netflix show in a weekend. You have time to sleep in on Saturdays. You don't have a time problem. You have a values problem. You value the temporary hit of dopamine from your phone more than you value the long-term satisfaction of building a legacy. Elon Musk runs multiple multi-billion-dollar companies. Navy SEALs find time to train in the middle of war zones. Single mothers find time to get degrees while working 2 jobs. They don't have extra time. They make time by cutting out the fluff. The next time you find yourself saying you don't have time, stop. Be honest. Say, I'm choosing to spend my time on things that don't matter. The honesty will hurt, but the honesty will set you free. Excuses feel good. Results feel better. The no money trap. The second most popular excuse is I don't have the money. We treat money as if it is a prerequisite for effort. It isn't. Money is a multiplier of effort, but it is never the starting line. Most of the greatest empires in the world were started by people who were broke. They didn't have capital, they had resourcefulness. If you want to get in shape, you don't need an expensive gym membership. You need the floor and the gravity that pulls against it. If you want to learn a new skill, you don't need a $50,000 degree. You need a library card and an internet connection. If you want to start a business, you don't need a venture capitalist. You need a product or service and the courage to ask someone to buy it. When you blame a lack of money, you are admitting that your creativity is dead. You are saying that you are only capable of moving when the path is paved with gold. That is emotional weakness. Strength is finding a way when there is no way. Excuses feel good. Results feel better. Blaming the others. The most toxic form of excuse is the one that points the finger at someone else. My parents didn't support me. My ex-husband ruined my credit. My boss doesn't recognize my talent. Listen closely. It may be 100% true that someone else did you wrong. It may be a fact that you were dealt a bad hand. But the moment you use that fact as an excuse for your current lack of progress, you have given that person power over your entire future. If you blame your parents for your lack of confidence at age 30, you are choosing to let people who haven't raised you in over a decade control your mind today. If you blame your ex for your financial situation, you are letting a ghost manage your bank account. Strong people take radical ownership. They acknowledge the trauma, they acknowledge the unfairness, and then they say, and what am I going to do about it now? The world owes you nothing. Not an apology, not a head start, and certainly not a win. The others are just obstacles. And obstacles are meant to be climbed, not used as a place to set up camp and complain. Excuses feel good. Results feel better. The cost of the but. Watch your language. The word but is the graveyard of dreams. I want to start that project, but I'm too tired. I was going to invest, but the market looks shaky. I know I should be disciplined, but it's been a hard week. Everything before the but is a lie. Everything after the but is the excuse you're using to justify your weakness. When you live a life of excuses, you lose the trust of the most important person in the world, yourself. Your subconscious mind is always listening. When you say you're going to do something and then you provide an excuse for why you didn't, your brain records a loss. It learns that your word means nothing. It learns that you are a person who folds under pressure. This is why people who make excuses always feel anxious and low on self-esteem. They know, deep down, that they are frauds. They know they have betrayed their own potential for the sake of a few minutes of comfort. Practice the excuse audit. Today, I want you to perform an excuse audit. Carry a notebook or open a note on your phone. Every time you find yourself explaining why something didn't get done, why you're late, why you didn't work out, or why you haven't started that big goal, write it down. At the end of the day, look at that list. Don't look at it with self-pity. Look at it with cold, hard logic. Ask yourself, is this a physical impossibility, or is this just a story I'm telling to protect my ego? 99% of your list will be stories. Cross them out. Write I chose not to next to them. I didn't have time to work out becomes I chose not to work out. I couldn't afford the book becomes I chose to spend my money on something else. Once you take ownership of the choice, you regain the power to change it. You are no longer a victim of the world. You are the architect of your life. Stop betraying yourself. Stop trading your future for a comfortable now. The results you want are standing on the other side of the excuses you're making. Excuses feel good. Results feel better. Chapter 5. Strength is built in the moments no one sees. The world loves a highlight reel. We are obsessed with the overnight success, the championship trophy lift, the sold-out stadium, and the viral moment of triumph. We see the entrepreneur on the cover of a magazine and think, they got lucky, or they have a gift. We see the athlete standing on the podium with a gold medal around their neck and we marvel at their natural talent. But what the world rarely sees, and what the world usually doesn't want to see, is the thousands of hours of absolute, crushing boredom that led to that moment. Strength isn't forged under the bright lights in front of a cheering crowd. Strength is forged in the dark. It is built in the silence of a cold gym at 4 a.m. It is built in the 10th hour of staring at a spreadsheet when your eyes are burning. It is built in the moments when you are tired, alone, and completely unobserved, and you do the work anyway. Success is not a grand event. Success is a series of tiny, unglamorous, and often repetitive choices. Small actions. Every day. No negotiation. The myth of the big day. Most people live their lives waiting for the big day. They think that one day, a massive opportunity will land in their lap, and they will suddenly find the strength to seize it. They think that when the big game of life starts, they will magically transform into a high performer. This is a delusion. You do not rise to the level of your expectations. You fall to the level of your training. If you haven't built the habit of discipline in the small days, you will crumble on the big days. The person who hasn't practiced staying calm during a minor traffic jam will never be the leader who remains composed during a corporate crisis. The person who can't find the discipline to go for a 20-minute walk will never have the stamina to run a marathon. Strength is a muscle, and muscles are built through consistent, repetitive tension. If you only lift when people are watching, your strength is just a performance. It's an act. Real strength is what you do when there is no one to impress, no one to clap for you, and no one to hold you accountable but yourself. Small actions. Every day. No negotiation. The power of boring consistency. If you were to watch a documentary of a truly successful person's life, it would be the most boring movie you've ever seen. It wouldn't be filled with high-speed chases and dramatic speeches. It would be a loop of the same 3 or 4 habits, repeated for a decade. They wake up at the same time. They eat the same clean food. They do the same foundational drills. They read. They write. They practice. They sleep. Most people quit because they can't handle the boredom. They want variety. They want excitement. They want a new hack or a secret shortcut. But there are no secrets. There is only the compounding effect of boring consistency. Think of Kobe Bryant. One of the greatest basketball players to ever live was famous for his 666 workout. 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, for 6 months of the year. When other players were sleeping, Kobe was in the gym. When they arrived for practice, Kobe was already drenched in sweat, finishing his second workout of the day. He didn't do it for the cameras. He did it when the arena was empty and the janitors were the only witnesses. He understood that the Black Mamba wasn't a gift, it was a result. It was the result of 1,000,000 shots taken in silence. Small actions. Every day. No negotiation. The no negotiation mindset. The reason most people fail to build strength in the dark is that they are constantly negotiating with themselves. When the alarm goes off and you don't feel like getting up, a negotiation begins. One part of your brain says, we should get up and work on that goal. The other part, the weak part, says, yeah, but we worked hard yesterday. We deserve a break. It's just one day. It won't matter in the long run. The moment you enter that negotiation, you have already lost. Strength is built by ending the negotiation before it starts. You must create a personal code of non-negotiables. These are the things you do regardless of how you feel, what the weather is like, or who is watching. I work out every morning. No negotiation. I read 10 pages before bed. No negotiation. I do not eat processed sugar. No negotiation. When a task is non-negotiable, you save an incredible amount of mental energy. You don't have to decide to be strong, you just follow the script. You take the feeling out of the equation. Whether you feel like a lion or a lamb, you do the work of a lion. Small actions. Every day. No negotiation. The invisible foundation. Imagine you are watching a skyscraper being built. For months, all you see is a giant hole in the ground. There are trucks, there is dirt, and there is a lot of noise, but nothing is going up. To the casual observer, it looks like nothing is happening. But deep underground, the engineers are pouring tons of concrete and steel into the bedrock. They are building the foundation. The taller the building is meant to be, the deeper and stronger the foundation must be. Your life is that building. The moments no one sees are the foundation. If you try to build a successful life, the skyscraper, without the boring discipline, the foundation, the first time the wind blows, your life will collapse. This is why we see lottery winners and one-hit wonders lose everything. They had the height, but they didn't have the foundation. They didn't have the character that is only forged through the struggle of the climb. Don't be jealous of people who seem to have skipped the foundation. Their fall is inevitable. Instead, fall in love with the hole in the ground phase of your life. Fall in love with the work that no one sees. Every time you choose the hard path in private, you are pouring another ton of concrete into your foundation. Small actions. Every day. No negotiation. The audience of one. The ultimate test of your character is how you treat yourself when you are alone. Do you scroll on your phone for 3 hours because no one will know? Or do you study because you know? Do you cheat on your diet because it doesn't count if I don't log it? Or do you stay disciplined because you are the one who has to live in your body? Emotional weakness thrives in the dark. It tells you that small compromises don't matter. It tells you that you can make up for it later. Strength, however, is built for an audience of one. That audience is you. When you keep your word to yourself in private, your self-confidence skyrockets. Not the fake affirmation confidence you see on Instagram, but the real, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you are a person of integrity. You know you can handle the big day because you've already won 1,000 small days when no one was looking. Practice. The unseen win. Starting tomorrow, I want you to pick one unseen win. This is a task that provides no immediate external reward, no praise from others, and no social media clout. It is something you do purely for the sake of your own discipline. Maybe it's making your bed to perfection every single morning. Maybe it's doing 20 push-ups every time you go to the bathroom. Maybe it's spending 30 minutes studying a difficult subject that will help your career in 3 years, not tomorrow. Whatever it is, make it a non-negotiable. Do it when you're tired. Do it when you're too busy. Do it especially on the days when you think it doesn't matter. Because it does matter. It matters more than the big day. The big day is just a reflection of the thousands of small days you spent in the dark. Build your strength in the silence. Small actions. Every day. No negotiation. Chapter 6. Control your mind or it will control you. Within the skull of every human being sits the most complex and powerful machine in the known universe, the human brain. It is capable of calculating interstellar trajectories, composing symphonies, and building civilizations. But there is a glitch in the software. This magnificent machine was not designed to make you happy, wealthy, or strong. It was designed to keep you safe, comfortable, and alive. If you do not actively take the wheel of your own mind, it will default to its factory settings. And the factory settings of the human mind are cowardice, laziness, and a desperate search for the easy way out. Your mind is a brilliant servant, but it is a tyrannical master. If you allow your thoughts to dictate your direction, you will spend your entire life wandering in the wilderness of what ifs and not today's. You must realize a fundamental truth of mental warfare. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who hears them. You don't obey thoughts. You command them. The default to the easy way out. Have you ever noticed that your mind never accidentally suggests that you do something incredibly difficult? Your brain never whispers, "Hey, while we're sitting here, why don't we drop and do 50 burpees and then cold call 10 prospects?" No, your mind suggests the path of least resistance. It suggests the extra slice of pizza. It suggests the snooze button. It suggests that you should probably wait until Monday to start that new project because today doesn't feel right. This is the mind looking for the easy way out. It is trying to conserve energy and avoid the perceived danger of discomfort. If you listen to that voice, you are not a leader, you are a passenger. You are letting a biological survival mechanism from the Stone Age run a 21st century life. When your mind tells you that you're too tired, it's usually lying. Research has shown that when the mind says you are done and can't go any further, you are actually only at about 40% of your physical capacity. The remaining 60% is locked behind a door that only opens when you stop obeying your thoughts and start commanding your body. You don't obey thoughts. You command them. The narrator in your head. We all have an internal narrator. For most people, that narrator is a pessimistic, hypercritical coward. It tells you that people are judging you. It reminds you of your past failures. It predicts future catastrophes that will likely never happen. The most dangerous thing you can do is believe that this narrator is you. When a thought like "I'm not good enough for this" pops into your head, most people treat it as a factual observation. They think, "Oh, I must not be good enough." They accept the thought as an absolute truth and let it paralyze their actions. Strong people practice metacognition, the ability to think about their thinking. They hear the thought "I'm not good enough," and they observe it like a scientist observing a specimen. They say, "That's an interesting thought. My brain is trying to make me feel small so I don't take a risk. I acknowledge the thought, but I do not accept it as reality." You must learn to fire the narrator and hire a commander. A commander doesn't ask how you feel. A commander looks at the objective and issues an order. You don't obey thoughts. You command them. Techniques for mental command. How do you actually take control of a mind that is spiraling into negativity or laziness? You cannot simply think your way out of a bad thought. That's like trying to wash off mud with more mud. You must use specific techniques to interrupt the pattern. 1. The third-person shift. Research in psychology shows that when you talk to yourself in the third person, you create psychological distance. Instead of saying "I'm so stressed," say "Your name is feeling a sensation of stress." This small shift breaks the emotional grip the thought has on you. It turns you from the victim of the thought into the observer of the thought. 2. The 5-second rule. The moment you have an impulse to act on a goal, you have about 5 seconds before your brain starts generating excuses to stop you. If you don't move within that window, your mind will kill the idea. You must count backward. 5-4-3-2-1 go. The counting distracts the mind from making excuses and shifts the focus to the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for action. 3. Categorization. When a negative thought enters your mind, label it. That is a fear thought. That is a laziness thought. By labeling it, you strip it of its power. You realize it's just a category of brain activity, not a mandate for your life. You don't obey thoughts. You command them. Replacing self-talk with action. The mind can only hold one dominant thought at a time. If you are busy doing, you cannot be busy doubting. The best way to control your mind is to put your body into motion. Laziness is a mental state, but it is defeated by physical action. Anxiety is a mental state, but it is defeated by physical action. If your mind is screaming at you that you can't do something, prove it wrong immediately. If your mind says you're too lazy to clean the house, stand up and pick up one sock. The moment you move, the chemical state of your brain shifts. You have broken the obey loop. You have issued a command through your muscles. Strength is the ability to maintain the commander status even when the narrator is screaming at full volume. It is the ability to say, "I hear you, mind. I know you're scared. I know you're tired. But we are doing this anyway. Move." The war of attrition. Controlling your mind is not a battle you win once. It is a war of attrition that lasts your entire life. Your brain will never stop trying to find the easy way out. It will never stop suggesting that you play it safe. But every time you catch a negative thought and refuse to obey it, you strengthen the neural pathways of discipline. You are literally rewiring your brain. You are moving from a reactive mind to a command mind. The person who can control their own mind is invincible. Because if the enemy within cannot defeat you, the enemy without stands no chance. The world can take your money, your status, and your comfort, but it cannot take your ability to command your own consciousness. Practice the thought trap. Today, your exercise is to trap 3 thoughts. Carry a mental net. At 3 points during the day, stop and look at what your mind is saying. Is it looking for an excuse? Is it complaining about someone else? Is it telling you to quit? When you catch the thought, speak to it. Out loud if you have to. Say, I see what you're doing. You're looking for the easy way out. I don't obey you. I command you. Then, immediately do the opposite of what the weak thought suggested. If it suggested you check your phone, put it in another room. If it suggested you complain, find something to be grateful for. You are the general. Your thoughts are the infantry. If the infantry starts to retreat, you get out there and lead them back into the fire. You don't obey thoughts. You command them. Chapter 7. Stop seeking comfort from others. We are social animals. For thousands of years, being cast out of the tribe meant certain death. If the group didn't like you, you didn't eat. You didn't have protection. You didn't survive. Because of this, our brains are hardwired to care, deeply and desperately, about what other people think of us. We are biologically programmed to seek the nod of approval and the warmth of sympathy. But we no longer live in the wild. You will not die if your neighbor thinks your goals are unrealistic. You will not starve if your co-workers don't like your personality. Yet, most people live their lives as if they are still one disapproval away from exile. They have become validation addicts, constantly checking their internal value against the external stock market of other people's opinions. If you cannot move without a pat on the back, you are emotionally paralyzed. If you cannot endure a hardship without running to someone else for sympathy, you are emotionally fragile. To be truly strong, you must learn to stand in the cold without asking anyone else to hold a coat for you. Strong people don't need permission. The drug of validation. Validation is a drug. Like any drug, it provides a temporary high followed by a crushing low. When you do something well and people praise you, your brain releases a hit of dopamine. It feels great. You feel seen. You feel worthy. But the moment the praise stops, you start to withdraw. You begin to wonder if you're still good. You start doing things not because they are right, but because they will get a reaction. You become a ghost of other people's expectations. Think about the modern social media landscape. People post their workouts, their meals, and their deep thoughts not for the sake of the activity, but for the likes. They are outsourcing their self-esteem to a group of strangers. If the post gets 100 likes, they have a good day. If it gets 5 likes, they feel like a failure. When you seek validation, you are giving everyone else the remote control to your emotions. You are saying, I don't know if I'm doing a good job, you tell me. This is the ultimate form of emotional weakness. It makes you a puppet. If someone can build you up with a compliment, they can tear you down with a criticism. Strong people don't need permission. The sympathy trap. Even more dangerous than the need for praise is the hunger for sympathy. We live in a victim economy. In modern culture, the person who has suffered the most or been wronged the most often gets the most attention. Because we crave attention, we have learned to weaponize our pain. When something goes wrong in your life, your first instinct is often to call a friend and complain. Why? Because you want them to say, oh, poor you. That's so unfair. You're doing the best you can. That sympathy feels like a warm blanket, but it is actually a poison. Sympathy validates your excuses. It tells your brain that it's okay to stay stuck because your situation is hard. It gives you a hall pass to be weak. Strong people do not want your sympathy. They want your respect, and respect is earned through results, not through sad stories. When a strong person fails, they don't look for a shoulder to cry on. They look for a mirror to see what they did wrong. They don't want to be understood. They want to be effective. Stop looking for people to feel sorry for you. When you ask for sympathy, you are asking for permission to remain a victim. Strong people don't need permission. The permission delusion. Most people are waiting for a green light that is never going to turn. They want to start a business, but they're waiting for their spouse to fully support it. They want to change their diet, but they're waiting for their friends to stop peer pressuring them into eating junk. They want to take a risk, but they're waiting for an expert to tell them they're ready. Waiting for permission is a stalling tactic used by the ego to avoid the possibility of failure. If you get permission and you fail, you can blame the person who told you to do it. If you move on your own and you fail, the blame is 100% yours. Weakness loves to share the blame. Strength is willing to bear the burden alone. You do not need your parents to understand your vision. You do not need your friends to cheer for your new habits. You do not need the world to tell you that you are allowed to be great. The only person who can give you the go signal is the person you see in the mirror. Strong people don't need permission. The internal scorecard. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history, talks about the concept of the inner scorecard versus the outer scorecard. The outer scorecard is how the world sees you. It's your title, your car, your social media followers, and the praise you receive. The inner scorecard is how you see yourself. It's your integrity, your discipline, and your knowledge that you did the work when no one was looking. Buffett poses a famous question. Would you rather be the world's greatest lover, but have everyone think you're the world's worst? Or would you rather be the world's worst lover, but have everyone think you're the world's greatest? The weak person chooses the latter. They would rather live a lie as long as the world is clapping. The strong person chooses the former. They would rather be excellent in reality even if the world is mocking them. When you live by an inner scorecard, you become untouchable. If the world hates you today, it doesn't matter, because your scorecard says you stayed true to your code. If the world loves you tomorrow, it doesn't matter, because your scorecard says you still have work to do. You must become your own highest authority. You must reach a point where your own disapproval of your laziness hurts more than the world's disapproval of your success. Strong people don't need permission. Social suicide as a path to power. To reach the next level of strength, you must be willing to commit social suicide. This doesn't mean being a jerk or isolating yourself from humanity. It means being willing to be the weirdo in the room. It means being the person who goes to bed at 9 p.m. while everyone else is out drinking, orders a salad while everyone else is eating pizza, works on a side hustle while everyone else is watching the game, stays silent while everyone else is gossiping. When you do these things, people will try to pull you back. They will say you're no fun. They will say you've changed. They will try to make you feel guilty for your discipline. This is the ultimate test. They are testing to see if you are a slave to their comfort. They want you to be weak because your strength makes their weakness look bad. Do not seek their comfort. Do not seek their understanding. If you are doing the right thing, you don't need them to agree with you. Practice the validation fast. For the next 24 hours, I want you to go on a validation fast. Do not post anything on social media. No photos of your food, your workout, or your hustle. Do the work, and let the work stay invisible. Do not complain to anyone. If something goes wrong, solve it in silence. If you feel tired, don't mention it. See how it feels to carry your own weight without asking for a pat on the back. Do not explain yourself. If you make a decision that is good for you, don't spend 10 minutes justifying it to others. Just do it. Notice how much leaky energy you usually spend trying to get people to like you or feel sorry for you. When you stop that leak, that energy stays inside you. It turns into focus. It turns into power. You are a grown adult. You are the sovereign of your own life. You are the only one who has to live with the consequences of your choices. Stop asking for a hall pass from people who aren't even going where you're going. Strong people don't need permission. Chapter 8. Pain is the price of power. There is a fundamental law of physics that applies just as ruthlessly to the human soul as it does to the material world. Energy cannot be created from nothing. If you want light, you must burn fuel. If you want motion, you must exert force. And if you want power, the kind of internal, unshakable power that allows a human being to dominate their environment and their own destiny, you must pay for it in the currency of pain. The modern world has tried to sell us a lie. It has tried to convince us that we can have the prize without the price. We are marketed painless weight loss, stress-free success, and effortless transformation. But these are marketing slogans, not universal truths. In reality, everything of value is guarded by a gate of discomfort. To reach the next level of your life, the current version of you must be dismantled. 1. And dismantling is a painful process. 1. No pain, no power. The biological necessity of friction. Think about the process of physical growth. When an athlete wants to increase their strength, they do not go to the gym to feel good. They go to create micro tears in their muscle fibers. They push themselves to the point of failure, where the muscles literally begin to burn and break down. That burn is pain. It is the body's way of saying, I am at my limit. But it is only because of that pain that the body responds. The brain realizes that the current structure is insufficient for the demands being placed upon it. It sends in the repair crews, builds the fibers back thicker and denser, and prepares for the next insult. If you avoid the burn, you avoid the growth. If you stay within the realm of what feels nice, your body has no reason to change. It remains soft. It remains weak. Power is the biological response to the demand for survival under duress. No pain, no power. Pressure creates diamonds and dust. We have all heard the cliché that pressure creates diamonds. 1. It is a beautiful sentiment, but it is incomplete. Pressure creates diamonds if the material is carbon and the structure is right. If the material is weak, pressure creates dust. The difference between a diamond and a pile of dust is not the amount of pressure applied, it is how the material responds to that pressure. Consider the story of Howard Schultz, the man who built the Starbucks empire. He didn't come from a line of wealthy entrepreneurs. He grew up in a Brooklyn housing project, watching his father struggle through a series of low-paying, soul-crushing jobs. He saw his family live in the constant shadow of scarcity. That environment was high pressure. It was painful. Schultz could have used that pain as an excuse to be bitter, to blame the system, or to accept a life of mediocrity. Instead, he used the pain as a forge. The pressure of poverty crystallized a vision in his mind. He would build something that offered the security and dignity his father never had. The pain wasn't a punishment, it was the fuel for his power. Or look at J.K. Rowling. Before the world knew her name, she was a divorced, penniless single mother living on state benefits, battling clinical depression. She described herself as being as poor as it is possible to be in modern Britain without being homeless. In that state of total collapse, most people would quit. But Rowling later said that rock bottom became the solid foundation upon which she rebuilt her life. The pain of her circumstances stripped away everything that wasn't essential. It forced her to focus on the one thing that mattered, her writing. She didn't become a world-class author despite her suffering. She became one because her suffering gave her no other choice but to be great. No pain, no power. The psychology of post-traumatic growth. 2. Psychologists have a term for this, post-traumatic growth, PTG. We are all familiar with PTSD, the idea that trauma leaves us broken and scarred. But PTG is the phenomenon where individuals experience positive psychological change as a result of struggling with highly challenging life circumstances. They develop a greater appreciation for life. 3, 4, 5, 6. They find a deeper sense of personal strength. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Their relationships become more meaningful. Why does this happen? Because pain is the great clarifier. It burns away the trivialities. It shows you what you are actually made of. 5. You never know how strong your inner shield is until someone actually hits it. If you live a life of total ease, you are living a life of total theory. You think you're a person of character. You think you have discipline. But you don't know for sure. It is only when the pressure is applied, when the money runs out, when the relationship ends, when the body fails, that the truth is revealed. The struggle is the test. And the test is the only way to earn the grade. No pain, no power. The choice of voluntary hardship. 6, 8. If you wait for life to bring the pain to you, you are a victim. If you bring the pain to yourself, you are a warrior. This is the ancient Stoic practice of ascesis, voluntary hardship. The Stoics understood that if you always live in luxury, you become a slave to that luxury. you become terrified of losing your comfort. To prevent this, they would periodically live like the poor. 8. They would eat the cheapest food, wear coarse clothing, and sleep on the floor. By voluntarily embracing the pain of lack, they realized something profound. Is this what I was so afraid of? When you prove to yourself that you can handle cold showers, that you can handle a 24-hour fast, that you can handle an extra hour of work when you're exhausted, you are taking the power back. You are telling the universe that it cannot threaten you with discomfort because you are already a master of it. Most people are running away from the fire of life. Strong people walk into the fire, stay there until they're tempered like steel, and then walk out with a power that the runners will never understand. Emotional labor, the price of leadership. Power isn't just about physical or financial strength. It is about emotional weight. To be a leader, to be a father, a mother, a CEO, or a person of influence, requires you to carry a level of emotional pain that others refuse to touch. It requires you to have the hard conversations. It requires you to take the blame when things go wrong. It requires you to stand firm when everyone else is panicking. This is emotional labor. It is exhausting. It is uncomfortable. It is painful. But this is exactly why the rewards for leadership are so high. The world is full of people who want the title but don't want the tension. They want the corner office but don't want the sleepless nights. They want the power, but they refuse to pay the pain. Realize this: the weight you are carrying right now is not a burden, it is a training session. The more weight you can carry without breaking, the more power you are granted over your environment. No pain, no power. Transformation through pressure. 2, 5, 7, 9. If you want to transform your life, you must stop asking for the pain to stop. Instead, start asking what the pain is trying to teach you. When you feel the urge to quit because it hurts, remember that the quit is the moment where the weak are filtered out. The pain is the barrier to entry. It is the wall that keeps the average people out of the territory of the exceptional. If it didn't hurt, everyone would have a six-pack. If it didn't hurt, everyone would be a millionaire. If it didn't hurt, everyone would have a perfect marriage. The fact that it hurts is the very thing that makes the result valuable. You are paying for your future self with your current discomfort. It is a fair trade. In fact, it's the only honest trade there is. Practice. The pressure test. 5. Today, I want you to lean into the pressure. Identify the one thing in your life right now that is causing you the most good pain, the pain of growth, not the pain of self-destruction. Maybe it's the project you're behind on. Maybe it's the conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's the physical limit you've been afraid to push past. Instead of trying to find a way around it, go directly through it. Increase the pressure. 7. Work 1 hour longer than you planned. Have the conversation without sugarcoating it. Run the extra mile even when your legs feel like lead. As the discomfort rises, don't complain. Don't seek sympathy. Just breathe into it and repeat the mantra. No pain, no power. You are a diamond in the making. The heat and the weight are not there to crush you. They are there to make you brilliant. But you have to stay in the forge long enough for the transformation to take place. Accept the price. Claim the power. No pain, no power. Chapter 9. Weak habits create weak lives. You do not decide your future. You decide your habits, and your habits decide your future. Most people live in a state of constant intention. They intend to be successful. They intend to get in shape. They intend to be better partners, better parents, and better leaders. But intentions are worthless in the face of reality. The universe does not reward what you plan to do. It rewards what you repeatedly do. Your life is not the result of the big, dramatic choices you make once a year. It is the result of the small, invisible choices you make every single hour. Your habits are the architecture of your existence. If you are living a life characterized by anxiety, stagnation, and emotional fragility, it is not because you are unlucky. It is because you have built a temple of weakness, brick by brick, through your daily routines. Your habits are your future, the compounding interest of failure. In finance, compounding interest is the 8th wonder of the world. A small amount of money invested consistently grows into a fortune over time, but compounding works in both directions. There is also the compounding interest of failure. A weak habit, like hitting the snooze button, eating processed sugar, or checking your phone the moment you wake up, seems harmless in isolation. You think, it's just one day. It won't kill me. And you're right. It won't kill you today. But it kills the version of you that was supposed to be great. When you repeat a weak habit, you are casting a vote for a weak identity. You are training your brain to believe that you are the kind of person who takes the easy way out. Over a decade, those thousands of small votes create a landslide victory for mediocrity. By the time you realize you're in trouble, the interest on your bad habits has become so heavy that most people lack the strength to pay it off. Weakness isn't an event, it's a lifestyle. And it starts the moment you open your eyes. Your habits are your future. The anatomy of a weak life. What does a weak life look like? It is a life built on reactive habits. The weak person is reactive. They wake up to an alarm they've snoozed 3 times, immediately flood their brain with the opinions and stresses of the world via social media, and then spend the rest of the day putting out fires. They eat whatever is convenient. They work just hard enough not to get fired. They spend their evenings numbing their minds with entertainment because they are too exhausted from a day of doing nothing that actually matters. This cycle is a destructive loop. Because they have no discipline, they feel bad about themselves. Because they feel bad about themselves, they seek comfort. Because they seek comfort, they indulge in weak habits. Destructive habits are easy now, hard later. It's easy to skip the workout now, but it's hard to live in a failing body at age 50. It's easy to spend your paycheck now, but it's hard to be a slave to debt for 30 years. It's easy to avoid the hard conversation now, but it's hard to live in a dead relationship for a lifetime. If you want a strong life, you must invert the equation. You must choose hard now, easy later. Your habits are your future. The strength of ritual. Strong lives are built on proactive habits. A strong person understands that their willpower is a limited resource. They don't want to spend their morning deciding to be disciplined. They want their discipline to be automatic. They create rituals that protect their energy and focus. The mastered morning. The first hour of the day belongs to you, not your phone, your boss, or the news. Strong people use this time to set the tone for their mind and body. Whether it's exercise, meditation, or deep work, they move toward the challenge before the world can tell them otherwise. The physical standard. A strong person treats their body like a high-performance machine, not a trash can. They have a non-negotiable habit of movement. They understand that physical strength is the foundation of emotional resilience. The learning loop. Weak people think they know enough. Strong people have a habit of constant intellectual expansion. They read, they study, and they seek out perspectives that challenge their own. Radical integrity. They have the habit of telling the truth to others, but especially to themselves. When they say they will do something, they do it. Their word is a contract. When these actions become habits, they no longer require effort. They become part of who you are. You don't try to be disciplined. You are disciplined. Your habits are your future. The identity shift. The secret to breaking a weak habit and building a strong one is not more willpower. It is an identity shift. Most people try to change their behavior from the outside in. They say, I want to stop smoking. This implies that they are still a smoker who is trying to do something else. The strong person changes from the inside out. They say, I'm not a smoker. When your habits align with your identity, they become effortless. If you see yourself as an athlete, you don't struggle to go to the gym, it's just what an athlete does. If you see yourself as a leader, you don't struggle to take responsibility. It's just how a leader acts. Every time you perform a strong habit, you are reinforcing this new identity. You are providing your brain with proof of your strength. This is why small wins matter. One push-up doesn't change your body, but it changes your mind. It proves that for 30 seconds, you were a person who chose strength over laziness. Your habits are your future. Environment over willpower. If you want to kill weak habits, you must stop fighting them and start engineering them out of your life. If you want to stop eating junk food, don't have it in your house. If you want to stop scrolling on your phone, put it in another room. If you want to wake up early, Put your alarm clock across the room so you have to stand up to turn it off. Willpower is for amateurs. Professionals build systems. Your environment is a silent coach that is either pushing you toward strength or pulling you toward weakness. If you hang out with 5 weak people who complain and make excuses, you will eventually become the 6th. If you surround yourself with people who demand excellence, you will have no choice but to rise to their level. Audit your circle. Audit your room. Audit your inputs. If your environment is designed for comfort, you will never achieve greatness. Your habits are your future. The 21-day lie. You've probably heard that it takes 21 days to form a habit. This is a myth. For most difficult, life-changing habits, it takes much longer, 66 days on average, and sometimes up to a year. The danger of the 21-day lie is that when it gets hard on day 22, people think they've failed and they quit. You must understand that building a strong life is a permanent war of resistance. There will be days when the weak you, the version of you that loves the snooze button and the excuses, will return with a vengeance. It will scream for its old habits. In those moments, you aren't just skipping a workout, you are fighting for your future. You are deciding which version of you gets to survive. Every day you stay the course, the old version of you gets quieter. Every day you choose strength, the new version gets louder. Practice the habit swap. Today, you are going to perform a habit swap. Identify one keystone weakness in your life, the one habit that, if removed, would have the biggest positive ripple effect. For most, it's phone usage, sleep hygiene, or diet. Now, identify its opposite strength habit. Instead of snoozing, the habit is immediate stand-up. Instead of social media scrolling, the habit is 10 minutes of reading. Instead of complaining, the habit is finding a solution. For the next 7 days, focus on nothing else but this one swap. Do not negotiate. Do not allow for cheat days. Prove to yourself that you are the captain of your own routines. Remember, you are weaving a rope every single day. If you use thin, rotten threads of laziness, the rope will break the moment you need it to save you. If you use the steel threads of discipline, that rope will pull you out of any hole and carry you to any summit. Look at your actions today. That is your future. Are you happy with where it's going? Your habits are your future. Chapter 10. Choose strength every single day. We have reached the end of this journey, but for you, the real work is only beginning. Up until this moment, these have just been words on a page or sounds in your ears. They have been theories. They have been ideas. But ideas do not change lives. Actions change lives. The greatest mistake people make when they embark on a journey of self-improvement is thinking that there is a finish line. They think that one day they will finally be strong, and on that day, the struggle will end. They imagine a future version of themselves who is magically immune to laziness, fear, and temptation. A version of themselves who can finally relax because they've made it. I am here to tell you that day does not exist. Strength is not a destination. It is not a mountain you climb once so you can sit at the top and enjoy the view for the rest of your life. Strength is a lifestyle. It is a daily, hourly, moment-by-moment commitment to excellence. It is a fire that must be fed with the fuel of discipline every single morning, or it will go out. Choose strength. Again. And again, and again. The one-time decision fallacy. Most people operate on the one-time decision fallacy. They decide to get fit on January 1st. They decide to be more present in their marriage on their anniversary. They decide to be disciplined after watching a motivational video. The problem is that a decision made in a moment of inspiration is easy. Anyone can be strong when they are feeling motivated. Anyone can work hard when the sun is shining and they've had 8 hours of sleep. But life doesn't happen in a vacuum of inspiration. Life happens when you're tired. Life happens when you're frustrated. Life happens when you've just failed, when you're being criticized, and when you're surrounded by people who are taking the easy way out. True strength is the decision you make when the feeling of motivation has left the building. It is the decision to keep going when the novelty has worn off and the work has become boring. You don't become strong, you practice being strong. And you must practice it every single day. Choose strength. Again, and again, and again. Building your personal code. If you want to maintain strength for a lifetime, you cannot rely on your whims. You need a personal code. A code is a set of non-negotiable laws that govern your behavior. It is the framework that allows you to act with integrity even when your emotions are screaming at you to fold. Your code is what tells you who you are when the world is trying to tell you who you should be. What does your code look like? It should be simple, brutal, and effective. I do not complain about things I have the power to change. I do not eat food that makes me weak. I move my body every day, regardless of the weather. I keep my word to others and to myself. I seek out the hardest task first. When you have a code, you no longer have to decide how to act. When a temptation arises, you don't weigh the pros and cons. You simply look at your code. Is this what a person of strength does? No. Then I don't do it. A code removes the feeling from the equation. It turns your life into a mission of duty rather than a search for comfort. It is the difference between a person who is trying to be better and a person who is living their truth. Choose strength. Again. And again. Again. The battle of the now. The reason people fail is that they focus too much on the forever and not enough on the now. They think, how am I going to stay disciplined for the next 20 years? The thought is overwhelming. The weight of it crushes them, and they quit. You don't need to be strong for 20 years. You only need to be strong right now. Strength is won in the immediate moment. It's won in the 3 seconds after the alarm goes off. It's won in the 5 seconds when you're looking at the menu. It's won in the 10 seconds when you're about to send an angry text but choose to breathe instead. If you win the now, the forever takes care of itself. Every moment is a fork in the road. One path leads toward the person you want to become, the person of power, discipline, and impact. The other path leads toward the person you've been, the person of excuses, comfort, and weakness. You are standing at that fork every hour of every day. You don't get to choose strength once. You have to choose it again, and again, and again. The cost of excellence. As you continue this path, understand that strength has a cost. The more you choose strength, the more you will realize that you cannot take everyone with you. Some of your friends will feel uncomfortable around your new discipline. Some of your family members will try to save you from your own ambition. They will tell you that you're working too hard or that you've lost your balance. What they are actually saying is that your strength is a mirror that reflects their own weakness, and they don't like what they see. Excellence is lonely. It is a narrow path. But it is the only path that leads to genuine fulfillment. The crowded path, the path of average effort and constant complaining, is full of people who are comfortable but miserable. They have balance, but they have no purpose. Do not let the comfortable people convince you to be mediocre. Their approval is not worth the price of your potential. You were not born to fit in. You were born to lead yourself. And to lead yourself, you must be willing to stand alone if necessary. Choose strength. Again, and again, and again. The gift of the burden. We have been conditioned to see struggle as a problem. We see stress, pain, and effort as things to be minimized. But this book has been about flipping that script. The burden of your life, the responsibilities you carry, the challenges you face, the goals you are chasing, is not a curse. It is a gift. It is the very thing that gives you the opportunity to be strong. A weightlifter doesn't look at a heavy barbell and say, "Why is this so heavy? This shouldn't be here." They look at it and say, "This is exactly what I need to get stronger." Whatever you are facing right now, whether it is financial trouble, a broken heart, a failing business, or a health crisis, stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Start asking, "How is this going to make me stronger?" When you change your perspective, you change your power. You realize that you are not a victim of your life. You are the hero of your story. And every hero needs a dragon to slay. If there were no dragons, there would be no heroes. Choose strength. Again, and again, and again. Final words. The choice is yours. Emotional weakness is a choice. It is the choice to let your feelings run your life. It is the choice to seek comfort over growth. It is the choice to believe your own excuses and seek permission from others. Strength is also a choice. It is the choice to master your mind. It is the choice to embrace the pain of the forge. It is the choice to build habits that serve your future and to take radical ownership of everything you touch. Both paths are available to you right now. One path is easy at the start but gets harder and more bitter with every passing year. It leads to regret, resentment, and a what could have been life. The other path is hard at the start but gets more powerful, more meaningful, and more joyous with every passing year. It leads to a life of legacy, respect, and deep, internal peace. You have the map. You have the tools. You have the mantra. Tomorrow morning, when that alarm goes off, the world will ask you again, who are you going to be today? Your feelings will suggest one answer. Your discipline will demand another. Listen to the discipline. Command your mind. Embrace the discomfort. Pay the price. Choose strength. Again, and again, and again. Summary of the code. Feelings lie. Discipline decides. Chapter 1. If it's comfortable, it's killing your progress. Chapter 2. Weakness is taught. Strength is chosen. Chapter 3. Excuses feel good. Results feel better. Chapter 4. Small actions. Every day. No negotiation. Chapter 5. You don't obey thoughts. You command them. Chapter 6. Strong people don't need permission. Chapter 7. No pain. No power. Chapter 8. Your habits are your future. Chapter 9. Choose strength. Again, and again, and again. Chapter 10. Go out and do the work. The world is waiting for the strongest version of you.